Hi, everybody. My name is Horea Porutiu. I'm a developer advocate at IBM. So today, I just have a few minutes here, and I want to talk to you about one of the projects that I'm really excited about. So how many of you know about Hyperledger with just a show of hands? OK, awesome. So at least seems like about half. So Hyperledger is an open source framework for building blockchain applications, and it's mainly used in a permission environment. So you have to have some sort of approval to actually enter the network. So this use case that I want to show you is for tracking the supply chain of coffee. So you can kind of think of it as not only for coffee, it could be for anything, right? But it's mostly for this supply chain use case. Basically, the reason we had this collaboration, so this collaboration was with Brooklyn Roasting Company. They wanted to prove to their customers that they have organic and ethically sourced coffee, and that they're paying a fair trade premium to actually support some of the growers of the coffee beans. So what we did is Brooklyn Roasting Company was nice enough to actually let us put their supply chain documents out into the open, and we were actually able to put some of those documents onto the blockchain, and then we actually had a one-day event where we gave out these cups of coffee to the customers, and they were able to actually have this unique identifier, and then later on they're able to query the blockchain and see some of the details about their transaction. So I guess the most important thing that I want to leave you with is kind of this these four different participants that were in our journey. So the four different participants, the main one was a retailer, which was Brooklyn Roasting. We also had three other participants. We had the actual growers. This was Co-op in Ethiopia. We had the shipper. I believe this was Maersk. And then we had an actual importer, which was Royal Coffee. So I'll show you some of that documentation. And I want to show you a little preview of the IBM Blockchain Platform as well. So basically what I have here is I have, if anybody's worked with Hyperledger Composer, once you create a business network, you're able to create this Swagger API. And you can have something like this coffee asset. We'll have cups of coffee as well. We have our grower here. We have our retailer. So basically, I have this REST API up, and it's talking to my blockchain platform, which is right here. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. So you can see kind of the blocks here. These were all of the transactions that happened on the day of the event, and I'll show you a fake kind of transaction just to see what it would look like. So the first thing is the actual growers. So basically, you can think of these four participants having their own interface or their own application where they enter in their data, and then that gets pre-populated onto the blockchain for everybody to see and to share. So the first piece of data actually comes from the growers, and actually Brooklyn Roasting is showing that they're paying the growers a fair trade premium, which is basically ensuring that they're paying them a living wage for their coffee. So when I click on this view the blockchain, I basically get this data here. I get this road infrastructure, $30,000. I get this food security, $43,000. And at this point, you may be thinking, you're just showing me these random data points. Like, where are you getting this from? So if we actually view the original document, this is the industry standard that they provided us, and this is their document showing what fair trade fair trade investments that they made. So you can see here we have the school classroom edition, $30,000. We have the road infrastructure, $43,000. And then what's important here is this total premium invested, $182,000. And that is exactly kind of what you see here. So that's one of the participants, and the way that we actually showed that information on that site is just by making a get call. So this was submit fair trade data, and if we just make a get call, we should get all this data back because we had put this back, or we had submitted it earlier. So again, we're just getting that data back, as you can see here. So now that I showed you that, it's the other three participants are pretty similar, so I'm going to skip that. I'll leave it if you want to see it yourself later. But basically, the journey starts in July 2017. We order these bags of coffee. After that, they actually get packaged up and are shipped across the ocean. So they're shipped from Ethiopia to New York. We have some shipping details if we click on View the Blockchain here. After that, once they are shipped, they're taken to an importer, which has a lot of different types of coffee, and they're getting a lot of different types of coffee from all around the world. This importer will hold the coffee in a big warehouse, and then the last step is when Brooklyn Roasting actually buys the coffee from the warehouse, and then they do a taste test on it. So they actually review how well does this taste, and then all of this information is on the blockchain as well. So the last thing I want to show you is basically in our activation, when someone got a cup of coffee, they had their own cup ID. So when we gave out a cup, we scanned a barcode, and that just made a post-transaction on the blockchain. So I'll show you, I don't have the scanner with me to actually scan the barcode, but I'll show you what that scan is doing. So let me go ahead and go to PourCup here. So does anybody have just a random number, 3-digit number that they would like to throw out? 473. Okay, I'm taking the first one I heard, at 473. Okay, so now we have this cup ID. We should be able to see this on the blockchain in a couple seconds now if I just hit try it out. So now this should be at 728 blocks. And if we remember that number, we should be able to pull that data back. I think it was 473, I believe. So you can imagine every time we're scanning a cup of coffee, just more and more blocks are added. And then, of course, at any time, we can query that data. So again, if we look inside of our blockchain platform, we see our actual cup ID here. Let me zoom in. We see it at 473. If we actually take that and put it into our website here, we should be able to get the details of when was this cup served, Friday at 8:15, and then some other details as like what type of coffee that was, what roaster that was. And again, that's all coming from my query that's on the REST API, and that's just I'm simply doing that query here. And then I'm getting that same info back. So that's pretty much it for the demo. I have a GitHub page right here. So this is under IBM, github.com/IBM/blockchainbean. I have all the code up there if you want to recreate it. If you want to learn how to work with the blockchain platform on the cloud, it's all there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my demo. I hope you learned something about Hyperledger, and I have my contact info here. I have my contact info here if you have any sort of questions or need to reach out. So that's it. Thank you so much.